Hello, my name is Jaime Lavid. I want you to just settle in for a moment. Perhaps you're sitting comfortably, or maybe you're just finding that spot now. What if I told you that there exists a kind of toolkit, a set of linguistic keys that can unlock deeper connections, create profound influence, and allow you to persuade with an almost unconscious elegance? Whether your goal is as simple as making a new friend feel instantly at ease, as professional as closing a crucial sale, or perhaps something a little more intimate, a little more seductive, this video is that toolkit. We're going to explore the architecture of language that shapes reality. These aren't parlor tricks or simple psychological hacks you might find in a pop psychology book. What we're delving into today are the Ericksonian language patterns, named after the legendary psychiatrist Milton Erickson. These are the very same foundational tools used by the world's most effective communicators, therapists, and yes, hypnotists. They operate beneath the surface of conscious awareness, speaking directly to the part of the mind that makes decisions, forms, beliefs, and feels emotions. It's a subtle art, a dance of words that guides rather than commands and invites rather than forces. As you watch this video, you might begin to notice how these patterns already exist around you, in advertising, in politics, in the stories we tell each other. By the end of our time together, you won't just be able to spot them. You will have a framework to begin using them yourself. You will learn to weave your words in such a way that people find themselves agreeing with you, feeling connected to you, and wanting what you have to offer, often without quite knowing why. So pay close attention. The secrets are in the sentences. Let's begin with the absolute foundation, the first step in this intricate dance pacing and leading. It's remarkably simple in principle yet profound in its effect. To pace someone is to meet them where they are, to reflect their current verifiable reality back to them. You simply state things that are undeniably true for them in that moment. You're sitting there watching this video, listening to the sound of my voice. You can feel the weight of your body in the chair, and you can see the light from your screen. These are simple, observable truths. No one can argue with them. Once you have established this rhythm of agreement, this series of yeses in their unconscious mind, you can begin to lead. You gently attach a suggestion to the chain of truths. So, as you're sitting there listening to my voice and noticing the light from the screen, you can begin to feel a sense of curiosity growing. Do you see how that works? The first few statements are undeniable facts. The last one is the suggestion, the lead. It slips in under the same banner of truth because it's been paced by reality. It feels just as natural and acceptable as the verifiable facts that came before it. This isn't about trickery, it's about building rapport at a deep, unspoken level. You are, in essence, saying, I see your reality, I understand your world. And because you've demonstrated that understanding, the other person becomes far more open to following you where you want to take them next. You're sitting there, you're breathing, you're listening to these words, and you're starting to understand just how powerful this can be. That's pacing and leading. It's the gentle handshake that opens the door to the mind. Now let's take that a step further. An elegant communicator can take absolutely anything that is happening in the present moment and weave it into the fabric of their influence. This is called utilizing present experience. It's a way of demonstrating that everything that happens only serves to deepen the connection or the experience you are creating. Imagine you're speaking to someone and a loud siren suddenly blares outside. A novice might be thrown off, their flow interrupted. But you can use that. You can say, and even that sound of the siren outside can just serve to focus your attention even more deeply on what I'm saying right here, right now. You're not fighting the distraction, you're absorbing it, you're reframing it as part of the process. If they shift in their seat, you might say, and as you adjust your position to get even more comfortable, you can find yourself becoming even more receptive to this idea. If their phone buzzes, and you can just ignore that notification, knowing that this conversation is more important, and allow that sense of focus to double. You are taking their immediate, sensory reality, the sounds, the feelings, the interruptions, and defining what it means for them in a way that supports your outcome. This technique creates an incredible sense of control and rapport. It makes your interaction feel seamless, almost magical, as if the entire universe is conspiring to help you make your point. Nothing can go wrong because whatever happens is simply more proof that things are going right. It removes all potential resistance from the environment and turns it into fuel for your suggestions. Every cough, every flicker of the lights, every passing thought becomes another step on the path you are laying out for them. People don't like being told what to do. The conscious mind, that internal gatekeeper, is naturally resistant to direct commands. So, how do we bypass it? We use indirect suggestions. We frame our ideas not as orders but as possibilities, as gentle invitations that the conscious mind doesn't feel the need to argue with. Instead of saying relax, which might cause someone to think, am I not relaxed? Why are they telling me to relax? And thus create tension, you can use a permissive frame. You could say you may find a sense of comfort beginning to spread through you, or I don't know if you'll begin to feel wonderfully relaxed now, or perhaps in a few moments' time. Notice the language. You may find, I don't know if perhaps people can, These phrases open a door without forcing anyone to walk through it. They give the illusion of choice, while planting a very specific seed in the unconscious mind. The suggestion is delivered, but it's wrapped in a soft blanket of permission and possibility. The conscious mind hears the permissive phrase and lets it pass, while the unconscious mind picks up on the core idea, comfort spreading or wonderfully relaxed. It's like sending a secret message that only the deeper part of the mind can decode. This is an exceptionally elegant way to communicate. You're not pushing against a wall of resistance, you're simply pointing out a door that has been there all along. You might say to a potential client, I'm not sure when you'll realize this is the perfect solution for you. The suggestion is that they will realize it, the only question is when. It allows them to feel in control of the decision, even as you guide their thought process. It's about empowering them to arrive at the conclusion you've already laid out for them. This is where things get really interesting. An embedded command is a direct order cleverly hidden inside a longer, more innocuous sentence. The command part of the sentence is usually marked out by a subtle shift in your tonality. A slight drop in your voice, a gesture, or a meaningful pause right before it. The conscious mind processes the entire sentence, but the unconscious mind hones in on the marked-out command. For example, in the sentence, I don't know if you want to buy this now, but many people find it's a great decision. The command is buy this now. The structure is simple. You take a carrier phrase like you can, people often, or my friend told me that you should, and you embed the command within it. To the casual listener, you're just making an observation or telling a story, but to the unconscious mind, you are issuing a direct instruction. You might find it's easy to feel completely at ease with me. Or talking about a book you read, the author said it's important to decide today for maximum impact. The carrier phrase distracts the critical conscious mind, allowing the command to slip through unnoticed. The key is subtlety. You don't want to be obvious with your tonal shifts. It should be almost imperceptible, just enough for the unconscious to pick up on it. It's like a subliminal whisper. When you practice this, you'll start to notice how you can use this in your daily life with remarkable effect. You're not being manipulative. You're simply communicating on two levels at once, engaging both the conscious and unconscious minds in a way that makes your message more compelling and more likely to be acted upon. A presupposition is something that has to be assumed to be true in order for a sentence to make sense. It's a way of building a belief into the very structure of your language, forcing the listener's mind to accept an idea in order to process the rest of what you're saying. For instance, if I ask you, are you going to continue to enjoy learning these techniques, or are you going to start applying them right away? The question presupposes that you are enjoying them. Your mind has to accept that premise just to understand the choice I'm offering. The argument is no longer if you enjoy them, but how you will continue to do so. This is an incredibly powerful tool for shaping belief. Consider the difference between do you want to buy this, and will you be paying with cash or card? The second question presupposes the decision to buy has already been made. The listener's mind is moved past the primary decision and onto a secondary, less important one. You can use this everywhere. When you finish the project, will you email me the report or bring it to my office? This presupposes the project will be finished. Before you decide to come on board, what other questions do you have for me? This presupposes they will decide to come on board. The beauty of presuppositions is that they bypass resistance entirely because they don't present the core idea as something to be debated. They present it as a given, a foundational fact upon which the rest of the conversation is built. The listener is invited to think about the details after the main point has been unconsciously accepted. When you master this, you can construct a reality for someone with your words, a reality where the conclusions you desire are already foregone. You simply have to ask, how much more confident will you feel once you've mastered this pattern? The double bind is a close cousin of the presupposition, but it operates by offering a limited set of choices, where either choice leads to your desired outcome. It gives the listener a feeling of control and autonomy, while ensuring you get what you want. It's the classic, would you like to go to bed now, or in 5 minutes? The choice isn't whether to go to bed, but when. Both options result in the child going to bed. It's a wonderfully effective way to guide someone's decision-making process without appearing forceful. In a professional context, you might ask a client, shall we schedule our next meeting for Tuesday morning? Or would Thursday afternoon be better for you? This question bypasses the if of having another meeting and goes straight to the when. The client feels empowered because they are making the choice, but the outcome, securing another meeting, was never in doubt. In a social setting, you might ask someone, do you want to grab that coffee now, or should we go after we finish this walk? The decision to get coffee is framed as a certainty. The key is to make both options equally appealing or acceptable, and to ensure they both align with your ultimate goal. The double bind works because it engages the conscious mind with a minor decision, distracting it from the larger embedded decision that has already been made. It leverages our natural desire to have a say in matters. You are giving them a say, but you are carefully curating the options. Will you practice this technique on your friends first, or will you start with your colleagues at work? The real choice, of course, has already been made for you. Commands can feel harsh, They can trigger our natural inclination to resist authority. But a tag question is a clever linguistic device that softens a command by turning it into a statement, and then adding a short question at the end to invite agreement. This transforms a potential point of conflict into a moment of rapport. So, instead of saying sign the contract, you would say, this contract covers all the points we discussed, doesn't it? The tag doesn't it? Gently nudges the listener towards a yes. This pattern is incredibly common in everyday speech, which is what makes it so effective and, honestly, pretty covert. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? You can see the value in this, can't you? We're going to have a great time tonight, aren't we? These tags, isn't it, can't you, aren't we, don't you, create a conversational flow that encourages affirmation. It's much harder to disagree with a tag question than with a direct statement or command. To say no would be to break the social rhythm that has been established. Using tag questions builds a momentum of compliance. You string together a series of statements with tags that they are very likely to agree with. You've been looking for a solution like this for a while, haven't you? And this one seems to tick all the boxes, doesn't it? So making this decision today just makes sense, doesn't it? Each yes, whether spoken or just felt internally, makes the next yes easier to obtain. It's a soft, gentle, and remarkably persuasive way to lead someone to your conclusion, isn't it? The human mind, especially the unconscious part, has a tough time processing negatives directly. In order to understand what not to do, it first has to create a mental image of the very thing it's being told to avoid. If I say to you, don't think of a bright pink elephant, what's the very first thing that pops into your mind? Yeah, a bright pink elephant, of course. This principle lets us use negative commands to make someone imagine exactly what we want them to. You can use this to plant ideas, feelings, or images. To a nervous speaker, you might say, whatever you do, don't imagine the entire audience hanging on your every word and smiling. To a potential buyer, I don't want you to feel completely confident about this purchase until you've seen all the features. In both cases, you've actually instructed their unconscious mind to create the very state you want them to experience, imagining a rapt audience, or feeling totally confident. The conscious mind hears the negation, but the unconscious mind gets the positive instruction. This is also a powerful way to induce what we call a hallucination, getting them to experience something that isn't really there. Don't pay any attention to the growing sense of comfort in your hands. To process this, they have to first search for, and therefore create, that feeling of comfort. You're not telling them it's there, you're telling them not to notice it, which is a way more subtle and powerful suggestion. It's kind of like a back door into their imagination. So please, whatever you do, don't start thinking about all the ways you could use this in your own life. Our perception of time is not fixed. It's actually a subjective experience that can be manipulated with language. Time distortion patterns let you stretch, compress, or even reorder time in someone's mind to make your suggestions more palatable. You can talk about the future as if it has already happened, or the past as if it's still happening now. For example, you can say, in a few moments, You will have learned this technique so well that you'll look back on this moment now and smile at how simple it all seems. This kind of collapses future, past, and present into one fluid experience. We can use words that kind of confuse the timeline. Words like as, while, during, and before can link events in a way that alters their perceived duration or sequence. As you continue to listen to my voice, you can begin to feel all the stress of the week just melting away. This suggests the process is already underway and will continue for as long as you're listening. You can also project them into the future. Imagine it's a month from now and you're looking back at the decision you made today. How good does it feel to know you made the right choice? This lets them experience the positive emotions of the outcome even before they've made the decision. It's especially useful for overcoming procrastination or hesitation. A task that seems daunting can be shrunk. You can finish this entire report in the time it takes to drink a cup of coffee. A long-term benefit can be brought into the present. You can begin to enjoy the feelings of success and accomplishment right now, even before you start. Basically, you're unhooking your listener from the rigid linear clock and inviting them into a more fluid psychological time where your suggestions can take root more easily. So how do you chain ideas together so that one flows seamlessly into the next, carrying the listener along with you? Well, you use soft connectors like and or as. These words are less logical and less challenging than words like but or so. The word simply links two phrases together without implying a direct causal relationship, yet, the mind often creates one anyway. For example, you are breathing in and out, and you are feeling more relaxed. The and doesn't state that breathing causes relaxation, but it implies a connection, allowing the mind to accept it easily. The word as is even more powerful. It implies simultaneity, that two things are happening at the same time, and therefore are linked. As you sit there listening to my voice, you can begin to notice a growing sense of understanding. The structure suggests that the listening is directly related to the understanding. It's a gentle form of pacing and leading. You pace their current experience, you sit there listening, and lead them to the suggestion, a growing sense of understanding, by linking them with as. It feels natural and effortless. This is all about creating a smooth, uninterrupted flow of suggestion. You're building a yes set with language. You're watching this video, and you're learning something new. And as you learn these things, you can feel a sense of excitement about putting them into practice. And that excitement can continue to build throughout the day. Each phrase is connected to the next with a soft link, creating a chain of thought that is easy to follow and honestly, kind of difficult to resist. It's like being guided down a gentle flowing river, rather than being forced down a path. Ambiguity is the art of being deliberately vague, allowing the listener's unconscious mind to fill in the blanks with its own personal meaning. When a statement can be interpreted in multiple ways, the listener will automatically choose the interpretation that is most relevant to them. This makes your suggestion feel incredibly personal and powerful. There are several types. The first is phonological ambiguity, where a word sounds like another. When you buy now, you're also buying, buy now, a sense of peace. The words buy now and buy now sound the same, creating a double meaning. Then there is syntactic ambiguity, where the grammatical structure of a sentence allows for multiple interpretations. Speaking to you as a person of intelligence, am I a person of intelligence speaking to you? Or am I speaking to you because you are a person of intelligence? It doesn't matter. Both interpretations are positive and build rapport. Another classic is, they were visiting hypnotists. Were they hypnotists who were visiting, or were people visiting hypnotists? The mind has to grapple with the meaning, and in doing so becomes more engaged and open to suggestion. Finally, there's scope ambiguity, where it's unclear what a part of the sentence applies to. Speaking to you and your friends, I know you have some interesting ideas. Does this apply just to you, or to your friends as well? The delightful men and women in this room, are the men delightful, or just the women, or both? By being intentionally unclear, you force the listener's mind to do a little work. And in that moment of internal searching for meaning, their critical faculty is bypassed. And you can slip in your suggestion. It's about creating a space for their own mind to persuade itself. The conscious mind loves to argue with facts and logic, but it doesn't know how to argue with a story. Metaphors and analogies are one of the most powerful ways to bypass resistance and deliver a message directly to the unconscious. When you tell a story, the listener's critical factor relaxes. They become absorbed in the narrative, the characters, the imagery. And within that story, you can embed the message, the feeling, or the change you want to create. It's kind of like hiding medicine in a piece of cake. If you want to help someone overcome a challenge, you don't tell them, "You can overcome this." You tell them a story about a small stream that, over thousands of years, carved a giant canyon out of solid rock, not through force but through persistence. Or a story about a caterpillar that has to dissolve into goo inside its chrysalis before it can emerge as a beautiful butterfly. The listener's mind will automatically draw the parallels to their own situation. The story provides a blueprint for change that their unconscious can understand and adopt. The best metaphors are tailored to the person's interests and experiences. If they're a fan of sports, you use a sports analogy. If they love gardening, you talk about planting seeds and nurturing growth. The story doesn't even have to be explicitly about them. You can talk about a friend of mine or I once read about. This creates distance, making the message feel less direct and therefore less threatening. You're not talking about them, you're just telling a story. But the unconscious mind knows exactly who the story is for. So this is a more advanced and honestly deeply hypnotic technique. A nested loop is basically a story that starts, but before it finishes, another story begins inside of it, and, maybe even another story inside of that one. It's kind of like a set of Russian nesting dolls. You open the first story, then the second, then the third. At the deepest level of the nest, you deliver your core suggestion or command. Then you close the stories in reverse order, finishing the third, then the second, then the first. This structure is actually really confusing for the conscious mind. Here's a simple example. The other day I was talking to my friend John, and he's a fantastic storyteller. He told me about a trip he took to Japan, where he met an old Zen master, and the master looked at him and said, "You can find peace anywhere." And after that, the master just went back to raking his garden. So John left, and he finished his trip, and he told me that story, and it's really stuck with me. The command, "You can find peace anywhere," is buried deep inside 2 layers of story. The conscious mind gets lost trying to keep track of who is talking and what story they're in. And honestly, this confusion is the point. It overloads the conscious mind, kind of inducing a light state of trance. While the conscious mind is busy trying to navigate the labyrinth of stories, the suggestion at the center is delivered directly to the unguarded unconscious. When you then close each loop in order, it provides a sense of completion and satisfaction. And the listener often has no conscious memory of the command itself, but it has been planted. It's a powerful way to embed ideas so deeply they feel like the listener's own thoughts. The human brain, really craves closure. It's a psychological principle known as the Zeigarnik effect. We remember incomplete tasks or stories way better than completed ones. An open loop is a linguistic technique that totally leverages this craving. You start a story, ask a question, or begin a sentence, and then you deliberately leave it unfinished. You just change the subject, moving on to something else. This creates a kind of tension, an intellectual itch in the listener's mind. They're unconsciously waiting for you to come back and close the loop. For example, I could start by saying, "There's one secret to influence that is more powerful than all the others combined, and it has to do with a mistake almost everyone makes. But before I tell you what that is, let's talk about something else," and then I move on. So, what happens? Your mind is now hooked. You're paying extra close attention, just waiting for me to return to that initial intriguing point. While you're in that state of heightened attention and anticipation, you're far more open to any other suggestions I make. The open loop totally holds your focus. You can use this in conversations, presentations, or even in writing. Start an interesting story, then say, "I'll tell you how that ends in a moment, but first." Then much later, after you've made your key points, you can return and close the loop, providing a sense of relief and satisfaction. Or, you can use incomplete sentences to make them finish the thought for you. When you really start to master these techniques, you'll find that you can, and you just trail off, letting them fill in the blank with their own desired outcome. It's a masterful way to command and hold attention. A transderivational search, or TDS, is, well, a fancy term for a simple process, using language that prompts someone to search through their own internal library of memories, feelings, and experiences to find the meaning of your words. When you ask a question like, "Have you ever been deeply relaxed?" or "Can you remember a time when you felt completely confident?" you're not giving them information, you're actually sending them on an internal quest. To answer the question, they have to access those memories, and in doing so, they re-experience the state associated with that memory. The language is often beautifully vague. Can you recall a specific shade of blue from your childhood? Have you ever been so absorbed in a piece of music that the world just faded away? These questions don't have a right or wrong answer. Their purpose is to initiate an internal search. As the person goes inside to find the answer, their attention shifts from the external world to their internal one. This is, by definition, a light trance state, and in that state they're highly suggestible. You can then link this internal search to a suggestion. And as you remember that feeling of complete confidence, you can begin to bring that feeling into the present moment. Right here, with me now. You've helped them generate the resource, the feeling of confidence, from their own experience, which is way more powerful than you simply telling them to be confident. You're not giving them anything new, you're just helping them find the resources they already possess. Have you ever learned something so quickly and easily that it surprised you? Go ahead, find that memory. So, we experience the world through our senses: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. This is often, just called VACOG. The most compelling and hypnotic communication is actually rich in sensory detail because it lets the listener build a full, immersive experience in their mind. Instead of just talking about an idea, you're, painting a picture they can step into. You don't just say, "It was a nice day at the beach." You describe it. You might say, "Imagine you're on that beach now. You can see the brilliant blue of the sky stretching out to the horizon. You can hear the gentle rhythm of the waves crashing on the shore. You can feel the warm sun on your skin and the soft sand between your toes. You can even smell that fresh, salty air and taste the hint of salt on your lips. By using language that really appeals to all the senses, you activate more of their brain and make the imagined experience feel incredibly real. And when an experience feels real in the mind, the emotional and physiological responses to it are also real. If you describe a relaxing scene in vivid sensory detail, the person will actually begin to feel relaxed. If you describe a delicious meal, they might actually start to salivate. This is the key to making your metaphors, stories, and suggestions profoundly impactful. You're not just telling them something, you're giving them a full sensory experience, and honestly, an experience is always more persuasive than a simple statement. People have a deep-seated need to feel seen, understood, and validated. This pattern really leverages that need by aligning with their core values and positive self-image. It's a three-step process. First, you agree with something they've said or a value they hold. Second, you praise them for that quality or belief. Third, you confirm their identity as someone who possesses that quality, linking it to your suggestion. It's a pretty powerful way to build rapport and make your ideas seem like a natural extension of who they already are. Let's say you're talking to a potential client who prides themselves on being a smart, careful decision maker. They might express some hesitation. You would first agree. I completely understand why you'd want to take your time with this. It's important to look at it from all angles. Then you praise them, and it's that kind of careful, intelligent approach that has made you so successful. You've just validated their identity as a smart person. Now you confirm and link, and because you are such a thorough person, you'll be able to see clearly how this solution is the logical next step for you. This structure is, honestly, incredibly disarming. You're not arguing with them, you're joining them. You're telling them that the very quality they are proud of is the reason they should agree with you. It reframes their potential objection as a reason for acceptance. I agree that loyalty is important, and I really admire that you value it so highly. And a person with your sense of loyalty will recognize that this is the best long-term partnership for your company. You are aligning with their values and then leading them to your conclusion. This is a subtle yet powerful pattern. A nominalization is a verb or an adjective that has been turned into a noun, a process turned into a thing. Words like understanding, relaxation, confidence, success, curiosity. They are abstract and honestly kind of vague. When you use a word like relaxation, I don't know what that specifically means to you. You have to go inside your own experience to find your personal definition of relaxation. This process, much like a transderivational search, causes the listener to access their own resources and internal states. Using these vague nouns allows you to talk about profound concepts without defining them. You could say, we all seek a deeper understanding. Or, this can lead to incredible success. The listener fills in the blanks with their own desires and definitions, making your statement resonate on a deeply personal level. You're providing an empty container, and they are filling it with their own meaning. This makes the suggestion feel like it came from within them, not from you. Similarly, vague pronouns like they, people, one, or even you, when used generally, can be powerfully ambiguous. They say that when you find the right path, everything just falls into place. Who are they? It doesn't matter, it sounds authoritative. People can learn to change very quickly. This allows the listener to apply the statement to themselves without feeling singled out. One finds that as time goes on, these things become easier. It's a gentle, indirect way of planting a belief, letting the listener's unconscious mind do all the work of making it specific and meaningful to them. This pattern is about deep listening and observation. People reveal their internal world through the words they choose, particularly their sensory predicates. Some people are highly visual. They'll say things like, I see what you mean, that looks good to me, or, let's get a clear picture of this. Others are auditory. That sounds right, I hear you. Something tells me this is a good idea. And some are kinesthetic. I can get a handle on that. This feels right. I need to connect with the material. This is their primary representational system. To build deep rapport, you must match their language. If you're talking to a visual person, you should use visual words. Let's focus on this and see if we can get a clearer perspective. If they are auditory, you use auditory words. Let's talk this through until it rings true, and we're in harmony. For a kinesthetic person, let's grapple with this until you feel solid about the next steps. When you speak their language, they feel understood on a level that they aren't even consciously aware of. It's like you're thinking in the same way they do. Beyond sensory language, you should listen for their core values. What is most important to them? Freedom, security, family, success? Once you identify a core value, you link your proposal directly to it. Because security is so important to you, you'll appreciate the lifetime guarantee that comes with this. Or if you truly value freedom, you'll love how this new system frees up your time to do what you really want. You are framing your suggestion as the ultimate fulfillment of their deepest values. It becomes almost impossible for them to reject it without rejecting a part of themselves. Causal modeling is about creating connections of cause and effect in the listener's mind, often where none explicitly exist. You use language to build a logical-sounding bridge between two things, leading the listener to an inevitable conclusion. There are different levels of this. The simplest form uses words like and or as to imply a soft connection, as we've discussed. But we can make it stronger with words that imply a more direct cause. Phrases like makes, causes, forces, or because create these powerful links. For example, watching this video to the end makes you a more persuasive communicator. The sentence structure presents a direct cause and effect link. The listener's mind accepts this simple logic unless it has a strong reason to question it. You can phrase it in many ways. The more you practice these patterns, the more confident you become. Learning this information causes a shift in your perception. Being here with me now means that you are ready to change. You are defining the meaning of their actions for them. The most subtle form of this is what Erickson called implied causatives. This is where you use phrases like as, while, or before to link an ongoing experience with a suggestion. While you continue to breathe easily, your unconscious mind can begin to integrate all of these learnings. The structure implies that the breathing is somehow facilitating the integration. It's not a direct A causes B, but an elegant, while A is happening, B can happen too. You are building an unconscious logic that says, if this is true, then that must also be true. It's the final piece of the puzzle, creating a world of interconnected ideas that all lead to one place, your desired outcome. And so, we come to the end of our journey for today. You now have the blueprints for 20 of the most powerful language patterns known to man. But like any powerful tool, from a surgeon's scalpel to a master craftsman's chisel, their value lies not in their existence but in their application. I urge you to begin practicing. Don't try to master them all at once. Pick one, just one. Perhaps a tag question or a simple pacing and leading statement. Try it in a low-stakes conversation with a friend or a shopkeeper. Notice what happens. Feel the subtle shift in the dynamic. It is crucial to remember this. The aim of this knowledge is not manipulation, but connection. True, lasting influence is born from genuine rapport and a desire to create a win-win situation. These patterns are a way to cut through the noise and confusion of everyday communication and speak to the part of a person that wants to trust, to connect, to agree. Use them to make people feel understood, to help them overcome their own limitations, to guide them to decisions that genuinely benefit them. Used with integrity, this is a skill set for building bridges, not for burning them. The path to mastery is through practice. Re-watch this video, take notes, but most importantly, go out into the world and use what you've learned. If you found this exploration valuable, if you feel that spark of curiosity and excitement about what's now possible for you, then show your support. Like this video, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the art of communication, and share it with anyone else you know who is ready to unlock their own powers of influence. Thank you for your time and your attention.